Let's talk more about Donald Trump and, of course, the next President of the United States and a lot of his new appointees to the White House who are going to take over on January the 20th, causing quite a stir, not least his brand new energy secretary. He's a fracking oil and gas executive called Chris Wright, who has said in public, on record, that he doesn't believe there is a climate crisis. So are things looking up? Well, let's talk about this with Ross Clark. He's the author of the brilliant book, Not Zero, How an Irrational Target Will Impoverish You, Help China and Won't Even Save the Planet. Good afternoon to you, Ross.
Good afternoon, Julia.
I have a funny feeling that Chris Wright may have read your book, Ross. What do you make of the appointment of Chris Wright? Because obviously it's upset all the right people. Is it a good appointment?
Well, Trump's genius, as we know, is to do everything, appoint the people that will upset his enemies the most. And I think it's another example of that. And, yeah, I mean, Chris Wright is he's possibly not the best person for the job in the sense that he is a vested interest. Obviously, he's CEO of Liberty Energy, a fracking company. Yeah. He's also got an interest, by the way, in nuclear energy, small modular nuclear energies. So he does know his subject. He knows what energy is about. He knows how you produce energy, and that's expertise, which is not actually a bad thing to have in government. And
no, I would have thought. I mean, the funny thing is, an awful lot of the people are, you know, they've got skin in the game. Even Ed Miliband here, as our energy secretary, has got skin in the game because they just totally signed up to this green world. And you all know perfectly well, the moment they leave office, they'll all go off and get themselves a lovely little directorship, or if not 15 of them earning money with these green companies, which they've helped to feather the nest of. They're all at it and they're all up to their eyeballs. So I haven't got an issue with that. But he's been very clear. He just says there's no climate crisis. He said we're not in the midst of an energy transition either. And he said basically he's I don't they say climate change skeptic, but he says. He doesn't care where energy comes from, quote, as long as it's secure, reliable, affordable and betters human lives. Gosh, this used to be how most governments thought, didn't it?
Exactly. I mean, the idea that should be a controversial view is quite absurd, isn't it? I mean, you know, energy security is absolutely paramount. And, you know, it's quite clear that Chris Wright's mind is on the ball there as regards some things he said on climate change. I mean, from what I've seen, you know, he said, for example, you know, it's scaremongering to say there's been an increase in the number or severity of hurricanes. Well, I mean, that actually is the view of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the US government body, which studied hurricanes more than anybody.
But it's not the view, it's a factual statement. I mean, this is it. So much of what people believe about climate and about climate change and the stuff that's put out by sort of the green agenda is simply factually untrue or out of date and has been superseded. Like, you know, a former person says to me, oh, you know, the Maldives are disappearing and the, you know, the Great Barrier Reef's disappeared. Well, no, neither of these things are true. And you'd only, you know, polar bears are dying out. No, that's not true either. More forest fires. Not true. I mean, it is extraordinary. More people are dying as a result of climate change. Not true. Far fewer. It is quite terrifying how much nonsense people have been told and believe.
Yeah, I mean, let's get it straight. I mean, global temperatures are increasing, and that has probably got the paw prints of man-made global emissions on it.
Might do, might not.
That's true. But, yeah, so much of what is said about extreme weather and all the other you know, is exaggerated, it's scaremongering, and it doesn't fit with observed evidence. And, you know, we've had this morning, this report from Carbon Brief claiming that, you know, all these 700 climate forms of extreme weather have been caused by climate change. Well, actually, when you dig down into it, you get so much of this comes from sort of modelled studies which involve computer modelling, and they're actually finding, you know, against real observable evidence.
You might use a model if you don't have real world evidence, but once you have real world evidence, you should look at that, which links us actually to China, because this is fascinating. Keir Starmer has now had his one-on-one meeting with the Chinese President Xi Jinping on the fringes of the G20 summit in Rio de Janeiro, talking about a strong UK-China relationship is important for both of our countries, and we've been asking people whether we should be cozying up with China. But part of your book title, is how irrational target on eco targets is going to help China. There's no doubt at all that on this issue, talking about the energy secretary in the States, China is laughing right now, aren't they? Because they're not only able to fund power their country with cheap energy, with fossil fuels, they're also using that to power the factories, which we can't afford to run anymore because our energy is so expensive, to make all of the wind turbines and solar panels that we're importing to make ourselves poorer and less energy secure. And they're having a field day.
They are. It's no wonder that Keir Starmer feels the need to talk to Xi Jinping. Britain has become pathetically dependent on China as a result of this net zero thing. As you say, it's China that is making all the solar panels, all the wind turbines, and increasing numbers of batteries for electric cars. Yeah. Sold in Europe, and why have they been able to corner the market? Well, because they've got cheap energy. They've got 60% of their energy still comes from coal, by the way. Yeah. So all those sort of Ed Miliband's solar panels, as well as being made by slave labour, they're also being made thanks to large quantities of fossil fuels. Now, China is investing in wind energy. It's investing in solar energy for itself as well as exporting it to Britain. But there's an underlying, theme of what China is doing. It will seek clean energy, but it will not do so at the cost to economic growth. Yeah. And that's clearly what the Trump government is going to be doing. It's what the Biden government has been doing. Yeah. No other country in the world seems quite as obsessed as we are at achieving a sort of net zero target at any cost. But
I thought not only are our leaders virtue signalling, by the way, Tories just as bad as Labour on this, and Lib Dems and Greens and everybody else, but we're supposed to be leading the world and inspiring everyone else to follow suit, and everyone else is going, OK, off you go, we're just going to carry on as we were.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, you think when Britain introduced this net zero by 2050 target in 2019, without even a vote in the House of Commons.
Or any research, it would appear, or a cost-benefit analysis, or anything useful.
No, exactly, none of that. And the idea was, is it going to inspire other countries to follow suit? And, well, other countries have made these targets, but they made it absolutely clear that they are not going to pursue net zero at the cost of economic growth. And all these countries which go and sign those declarations at the COP meetings, Canada increasing fossil fuel output, Biden's America was increasing fossil fuel output. Brazil has even under its new progressive approved president is seeking to be the world's fourth largest oil producer by the end of this decade.
Meanwhile, we're going to put some solar panels on some new builds and make everyone have a heat pump and go, aren't we wonderful? Can I ask you just finally, I mean, by the way, we should be laughing at the COP29 summit, which Keir Starmer did a whistle-stop tour in and out. That would have been his 14th trip abroad. This is his 15th to Rio since becoming Prime Minister in July. I don't know how he can justify all these journeys, because apparently we're all supposed to be only having one trip a year. But it'd be OK, because you're important people and rich people are allowed to do it, obviously. But 470 British delegates attended the COP summit in Azerbaijan. I wonder how many would have gone if it had been a fun and nice country. Next time it's in Brazil, I bet it'll be double that, won't it?
I'm sure it will be. I mean, Britain was sort of taking COP29 a little more seriously than other countries. Biden didn't go, Macron didn't go, Olaf Scholz didn't go. Xi Jinping didn't go. We were there sort of. Starmer turned up, as he said, to lead the world on this issue. Well, he turned up and found there wasn't much of a world to lead, really.
Indeed. We'll leave it there. Ross Clark, always so good to talk to you. Thank you very much, Steve, for joining us. 12:47 is the time. Quick word from Claire.
You can imagine Keir Starmer and his entourage sort of piling in, going, it's here, we're here, it's all right, everybody, we'll save the world.
No queue at the buffet.
That's true. Or at the bar. We shouldn't queue at bars. Let's be British about
Oh,
it.
God, totally with you on that one. Seriously, as an ex-barmaid, I can always... I know who's next.
You know who's next, exactly.
I'll give you a top tip, by the way. If you've got coins, you're at a bar, this big fussy, if you bang your credit card or anything on the bar, you're not getting served.
Exactly.
Just so you know.